We're told that you beat young men until they bled. Why did you do that?
I'm not talking about that.
7 years ago, this programme revealed that John Smyth, a senior barrister and friend of the Archbishop of Canterbury, had groomed boys and young men at Christian summer camps, universities and Winchester College before savagely beating them in a specially constructed shed.
When leaders of powerful institutions fall, it's not merely their downfall, but a reflection of the institution's own struggles and contradictions. The recent resignation of Justin Welby as the Archbishop of Canterbury is emblematic of a church grappling with profound failures, moral ambiguities, and a crisis of leadership that goes far beyond one man's tenure. Welby's time as the head of the Church of England was marked by symbolic gestures and public posturing. He was quick to offer apologies for the historical wrongs of slavery and colonialism, vocal in his support for progressive movements, and eager to funnel resources into causes that signalled a commitment to change. Yet when it came to addressing real, present-day harm under his watch, harm inflicted upon innocent children by members of his own clergy, Welby fell catastrophically short. The Making Review, an independent investigation into the late John Smyth's decades of abuse, exposed the reality that undermined Welby's carefully cultivated image of reform and conscience. Smyth, once a respected figure in Christian circles, was found to be a brutal abuser, and the report confirmed that Justin Welby had known about these allegations as early as 2013. For more than a decade, this knowledge was met with silence, complicity, and inaction. Welby's priority seemed less about safeguarding victims and more about protecting the church's reputation. Critics have long accused Welby of being a woke leader, more interested in social justice and spiritual stewardship. His stance on issues like open borders, support for Black Lives Matter, and vocal regrets over Brexit raised eyebrows. What connection these positions had to the teachings of the Church of England was unclear, but they did align neatly with the zeitgeist of elite liberal circles. Ironically, this image of progressive commitment was shattered by the revelations of systemic cover-ups under his leadership. It's hard to reconcile the Archbishop who championed reparative justice for historic sins with the man who allowed a predator to escape justice in real time.
And I take responsibility for this, and it was a failure and a really shaming failure. I did not ensure that this was pursued as energetically, as remorselessly as it should have been.
But back in 2019, he told this programme something very different.
I genuinely had no idea that there was anything as horrific as this going on.
The Making Review described that as one of several incorrect assertions. Was it a lie because the victims say it was?
No, it wasn't. I don't lie on interviews. If I can't tell the truth, I don't answer the question, and I say I'm not going to answer the question.
Did you not think, when you saw that man's name, did you think, oh, I shared a dormitory with him, I exchanged Christmas cards with him, I funded his mission? Did you not think, I must make sure and do everything I personally can to ensure that no other victims in South Africa suffer what all those poor victims suffered in the UK and then Zimbabwe?
We were straining every sinew to try and cope with this flood of cases. But on this one, I didn't do enough, and Making quite rightly points to that.
The fundamental expectation of religious leaders is that they uphold the spiritual and moral teachings they espouse. Welby's repeated failure to report and act decisively against Smyth, a man whose abuses were so severe that some victims were left with lifelong trauma, constitutes not just negligence, but a betrayal of trust on an epic scale. It is a betrayal not only of those victims, but of the foundational Christian values of truth, compassion and justice. Now, as the Church of England looks to appoint Welby's successor, it has a moment of reckoning. This is not the time for rebranding exercise, but for a deep, honest examination of what the Church stands for and who it serves. The next Archbishop should embody genuine moral courage, an individual who prioritizes the well-being and protection of the vulnerable over political optics and institutional image. The Church of England must understand that it cannot reclaim credibility through symbolic acts alone. It must learn that safeguarding is not a matter of modernity versus tradition, but a non-negotiable responsibility embedded in its very essence. If the Church is to move forward, it must do so by returning to its core mission, to lead with integrity, to protect its followers, and to embody the teachings of Christ, not just in the word, but in deed. Justin Welby's resignation should not be seen solely as the fall of a man, but as a stark warning to the institution he led. The path forward requires more than a change of leadership. It demands a profound transformation in how the Church reconciles its past, addresses its present, and safeguards its future.